Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. We're going to wrap up this week with a request that kind of has me intrigued. A couple of weeks ago, we checked out a group called Extraordinary Heroes, which was a Korean rock group, and I had let some of my friends know who are big into Korean music that I checked it out, and one of them was like, well, you need to check out WOODZ. And I was like, okay, I don't know who WOODZ is. And they're like, check out the song Drowning. So I was like, all right, well, let's do it. I'm intrigued by this. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. Let's dive into it, see what WOODZ is bringing to the table for us. Ooh, ooh. So the electric guitar is borrowing a little bit from like, oh, that's a big bass tone. It borrows a little bit from grunge, but also a little bit from alt rock. The bass almost sounds synth-like. Also, those notes, the really low ones in the bass, I can barely hear those. I don't know if it's the hardware or my ears. It gets so quiet though. And a nice pop rock chorus intro. The build up into that high note. There is also a low harmony on the left side. I hope that comes back because I just caught it at the ends. The acoustic guitar alongside this verse is a really nice choice too. You know, it's interesting too, some of the grunge element is removed from the first verse, and it feels more like a rock ballad. It has a very somber element to the chords. Very Smashing Pumpkins here. The violins are a really nice touch here. Very short-lived bridge. So a very stripped back penultimate chorus. Ooh. And an unceremonious ending. It just kind of happens. Huh. I quite enjoyed this. If all of Wood's stuff is like this, I'm on board. It captures a lot of just a 90s general rock sound. We had a little bit of that grungy intro. Most of the verse here feels very 90s alt rock. The bridge went into that direction too, and then we had a really nice like pop rock idea in the chorus that borrowed a little bit of I don't know, chord progressions from Queen. It wasn't. Here's the weird thing: every chord in the chorus, I could feel from a different song or a different band. I definitely heard a little bit of Radiohead in the bridge, but like going back to the chorus, the first chord really reminds me of something off of My Chemical Romance's Black Parade album. There is a chorus that I'm pretty sure starts off on probably that same chord, or at least that same chord voicing. Maybe it is a different root tone, but I think the voicing itself is going to be the same. But there's also some Queen that I hear in there, as well as I think it's the third chord that reminds me of Creep by Radiohead. So it's wild. It's like these really key moments pulled from a smorgasbord of other songs, put together into this collage of music. It probably isn't intent. I mean, maybe it is too. A little way of standing on the shoulders of giants, of putting your inspirations in your music, but it might just be completely coincidental. It's just it's why every like I said, every chord I was like, oh, that's from a different song, that's from this different song, so that's kind of neat. um let's start from the beginning. This is a moody start to the track, and this is kind of interesting too, knowing where the chorus eventually goes into sort of a ballad pop rock kind of thing, to start off with something so comparatively gritty and moody and dreary. The song ends up going in places I wouldn't expect given this intro. I also think it's wild that we don't ever hear this sound again. But it does have a little bit of an alternative rock sound to it, which we do continue on into the verse. Now, here's something I liked, is that we do get an acoustic guitar here at the beginning, and the electric guitar comes in around it, and they continue to play together. A lot of songs will start with an acoustic beginning and then take that acoustic riff and put it on an electric guitar, and then the acoustic guitar is just chucked into the local dumpster so that they can focus on the rock sound. And WOODZ doesn't do that here. We keep the acoustic guitar through the verses. It just dawned on me that I never got around to checking if that acoustic guitar was in the chorus as well. It might have been, but it was certainly in both verses alongside a distorted electric guitar. And I love that combination of sounds. I think acoustic and electric at the same time it just always sounds good, and I'm glad to hear it here. Some of the instrumentation kind of gets out of the way. We get the vocals front and center, but there's also a lot of spaciousness around them. That kind of gets filled in the chorus as we're hitting larger, more layered sections. And we actually see this at the peak in the bridge when there's just so much going on. But here, there's a pocket designed for the vocals to sit within. It makes them feel a bit isolated from everything else. And the bass here, dude, I don't know what's going on. That fourth chord on the bass, that note is so low. I don't know if it's beyond the range of my headphones. I know that these are budget, and it might just be that the note being played there isn't something my headphones can produce. But I also know that my ear for low tones is shot. Probably too many concerts going to, and probably playing too much loud music myself. I'll tell you from experience, playing the bass in a post-hardcore group, I often had to have my guitarist help me tune my lowest string on the bass, because the first 5 to 6 frets just sounded like the same note to me. It's just indistinguishable lowness. And so it's really wild to me that that lowest tone just sort of loses sound. It probably isn't that. It's probably something on my end, but it's really weird that the bass takes up so much space and then it hits this low tone and it just kind of peters out. Probably my ear though. But I mean, honestly, on the other side too, if it is kind of losing that oomph, that body and size because of its lowness in pitch, I don't hear that too often either. You know, whether it is my ear or my headphones, I can typically hear what the bass is doing. So to get a bass tone that low where it's beginning to be affected by something on my end, that's pretty neat. It's also just a wide, meaty bass tone. It sounds fantastic. And I love it here, especially as it provides the foundation for everything else to be built on top of. Now, the rest of this verse is primarily just atmospheric, harmonic stuff. We do have the nice melody coming from the vocals, but the instrumentation is there to craft an atmosphere. And I think having this slightly moodier, gloomier alt-rock sound works really well with the vocals. So I think that's a really nice combination there. The chorus, though, this is where things take off for me. And I already mentioned that, you know, like every 4 bars, I can hear a different song in it, like a Frankenstein of popular 90s songs. But I also think that there's a nice twist here. It does go more towards a pop rock sound. The vocals are fairly well produced throughout the entirety of this track, but here we really see that crisp, perfect pop perfection. I'm just going to roll with the double perfect. We actually have some secondary vocal lines going on. They sound like WOODZ also providing the vocal. WOODZ is the person on the album art, right? Do they do everything? It just dawned on me that I don't know if WOODZ is an artist or a band. All right, for the sake of being on the right side of things, I'm going to go a bit more vague. The vocalist on this track provides, from what I could tell, the vocals for all of it, whether it's the main vocal or a harmonized vocal. We do hear some higher pitched harmonies in here, but we also hear some lower pitched harmonies, and they're pushed out way to the sides. And I think this is interesting too because it creates more division in the song. It lines up with that feeling of isolation. Where the verse, the instruments were a bit distant from the vocals, here in the chorus, the harmonized vocals are distant from the main vocalist. They just can't really seem to connect with anything, and when the music does start to get closer to the vocals, it feels very overwhelming. We actually see this moving into the bridge, where this, to me, is the peak of the song. This has the most amount of layers, the most amount of volume. It is taking up all of this space. I think emotionally, we are at the peak here of really bringing in this very ballad style of rock music, bringing in some moodier and even gloomier chord progressions here that don't have any sort of levity to them that we saw in some of the earlier sections. And this is 100%, it just feels sorrowful at this point, a poppy kind of sorrowful. Sure, I mean, I know we don't cover a lot of lighter rock like this on the channel, but for you metalheads, I understand that metal music can get really dark and heavy, and this is comparative to that, rather light. But focusing on just what's within the music, comparing this bridge to the verse and the chorus that came before it, this is rather dark. And this is also the point where everything is at its loudest and largest. As much as the pop vocals sit above the rest of the music's starting to catch up to it. It's starting to attempt to cover it over and to envelop it. We never quite get something like metal where the vocals can get stuffed into the mix and kind of get lost in the music. It still retains a lot of that sterile pop production where the vocals are crisp and clean and clear at all times. But you can feel the music starting to get up there, beginning to reach that point of overwhelming it. And I like this. The vocals are isolated in so much of the song, but when the music finally gets to a point where they can touch, It's overwhelming. It's not an interaction that the vocals want. And I think this is really great because as we get out of this bridge, everything starts to swell and then a quick dissipation. And we go back to the chorus, but an extremely stripped down version of it. And now I will say, this is rather clever because this idea of a stripped down vocal, maybe vocals only, sorry, a stripped down chorus, maybe vocals only. Some bands are going to add, just bass or just an acoustic guitar, maybe some little accompaniment, but doing the chorus without the full chorus arrangement is a trope within a lot of music. It's not just rock, but mainstream loves to use this all over the place. You can even find this in musicals. So this is a long-standing musical trope right here. But I really love how it's done thematically here. Things were beginning to feel overwhelming, and now the vocalist shoves everything away and seems to invite total isolation. Seems to be a little bit more comforting, especially as we move to the slightly more positive chord progressions in the chorus. Now, after this, the music comes in, and I think this is just the trope, to do the penultimate chorus stripped down, and then the final chorus full with some ad-libs and minor alterations to it to keep it interesting. This, I think, is more functional than thematically interesting, but it is still a really great way of bringing us out of the bridge back to the chorus in a very traditional, trite way, but with artistic integrity behind it. The song is called Drowning. We're going to hit the lyrics in a second and see what kind of drowning we're working with. But this idea of the music slowly swelling up around the vocalist is phenomenal. And maybe even this penultimate chorus isn't about sending all that away and focusing on isolation, but allowing it to swallow you up and being left in the darkness under the water as you are now, the water's risen above the head. This could be the isolation there, and the burst back into that final chorus with all the layers is thrusting your head above the surface of the water again and breathing. I really like that read of it, so I think that's going to be my headcanon for it. Much better than the idea of shoving it all away and embracing the darkness, because the rest of the song doesn't really fit within that framework. So I guess just a quick little recap here. This touches on so many sounds that I love. And that's always something that's going to work for me. You bring together a lot of different styles of music I enjoy, and I'm going to fall in love with the music. But I also think it's very charismatic. The vocalist sounds great. It's very theatric, and you're always going to catch me loving anything theatric and overdramatic. And it's just very well produced, and I love clean, clear production. So assuming that the rest of this album is like this, I might be on board for my first Korean music album adventure. I've enjoyed some of the Korean music I've heard in the past, but I think this is the first time where I'm just fully on board with the sound that makes me want to dive in for more. So let me hit some lyrics on this. Oh, this is the most popular track off of this one too, by a long shot. This must have been a single then. Let me hit some lyrics on this, and then we're going to wrap this video up. Okay, so this is a figurative type of drowning, but it's also, in a sense, a literal type of drowning. The concept of water going over your head is actually built right into the lyrics, although the actual concept of going under is a bit more alluded to than anything else. It's a love song, or I suppose a breakup song, although the narrator is the one who got broken up with. Verse 1, I think, just says everything right out in front. You only need this one verse to understand the entire song. I was madly in love. We argued so much. You left first. It's been raining all day. It quickly reached the tip of my chin, and I'm out of breath. Granted, this is a translation. I don't know. It's on Genius, part of their Genius English translations. I don't know if these are AI or handcrafted. Either way, I hope it's accurate. But like I said, right off the bat, you get everything. A relationship was here. The other person broke up with our narrator, and now it's been raining, which is just pretty typical figurative speech. Anytime something bad happens, it rains. Sad weather. And it doesn't stop raining. It rains all day, and it's actually creating a flood in this person's life. And it says that the water is reaching the tip of their chin and they're out of breath. If they go under, that's it. The chorus is in English, and I'm drowning. It's raining all day. I can't breathe. I'm drowning. I'm drowning. I'm drowning. I'm drowning. You're taking my life from me. There's that overdramatic emo sense that I am completely drawn to. That one line completely changed the chorus for me, because otherwise it really is more of a performative thing. The repetition of the phrase "I'm drowning" and sort of the lack of useful information here. A lot of it is yaz, which I didn't say, but there's a lot of yaz in here. Just filling space with phonetic sounds. I'm like, okay, dude, this is a bit over the top. But then he says, "You're taking my life from me." I'm like, oh, dude, this is over the top. This is way over the top. You're being super dramatic about this. I'm in. I don't know what it is about that one line that pushes it past a hurdle for me, and I can just accept it now. But I like it. And I think part of it is just remembering back to the music. And you get the feeling there. I suppose I might have liked some more diverse lyrics to go along with this, but also the repetition of it, I think, it helps us into the mindset. And I'm going to try to read into this a little bit, because I could just say pop song, simple vocals, and then dismiss it and move on. But I try to give the benefit of the doubt where I can. And it could be an insight into this person's mental state, where we get a little bit more directed and linear vocalization of their thoughts in the verse. But when it comes to the chorus, it is just an unrelenting emotional stream. All they can think about is drowning. They're hyper focused on it. And so that's the only thing that can be sung here. The repetition actually drives home the spiral, the mental and emotional spiral that this person's going through. Verse 2 doesn't add much to the equation, but it does show how much pain our narrator's in. It says, "You killed me with kind words, you laid me down and you left, you cut me bad, but I'm still waiting for you. After you leave, this place is locked away with tears. You loved me so much, where did they scatter?" We go back to the chorus. We have our instrumental break, and then the bridge. This is where everything builds. It says, "I could fall deeper and die. Would you come back one more time?" There's hope in this. I think that's really interesting, because to me, this part of the song is where the water has gone over the head and he's wallowing in this sadness and this sorrow. He says, "I could do it. I could just fall deeper. I'll just keep descending into this ocean of sadness. And I'd die, whatever." He says, "But would you come back one more time? If I allowed myself to do that, would you come back for me?" And I think that is one of the most emo things I've heard. And if you're new to this channel, I say emo very endearingly. I'm an emo kid myself. I love overdramatic lyrics like this that honestly, they feel like they mean the world to you when you're 18, but when you get older, you're like, geez, dude, not that important. But something about these lines still stick with me. It makes such, they're meaningful, sure, but they're also kind of small in the grand scheme of things. And, you know, it's just a relationship kind of idea. And then to treat it like it's you know, a heartbreak is the death of you. And I don't know, something about it is just very endearing to me. It's cheesy, sure, but it works for me. I love emo style lyrics. And this idea of saying, if I died, would you come back for me? I love that. And it fits so well with this idea of just drowning, of allowing yourself to succumb to the depression. And then we burst out of that, though, into "I'm drowning," which I think is interesting because we push away from this idea that they're going to come back. It returns to the idea of you're taking my life from me. I'm not going to allow you to have this control over me. I'm not going to hurt myself in hopes that you come back. I'm going to try to swim for my life, to stay above water here. And I'm going to blame you for this. Now, granted, we're only seeing one side of this equation. Maybe this guy is just a terrible, toxic person to be around, and this is just more toxic emotion here manipulating the other person. I'm not saying that that's what the song's doing, but we are only getting one side of the story here. But I do like how we end on "you're taking my life from me," putting the blame on them and not wanting to hurt yourself in order to bring them back. The bridge was a moment of some succumbing to that weakness, and then to pull out of that back into the chorus is, at least to me, a moment of strength, even if it still is a moment of sorrow. Yeah, I think that ends up working really well. And like I said, WOODZ fans, if you're here and you already know about this album, you know about their other albums, should I dive more into them? Do you think that I would enjoy them? If I enjoyed this, is the rest of the album like it? Let me know down in the comments. These are my thoughts, though, on WOODZ Drowning. Do you have a different take on it? Was there anything I misspoke on that you need to correct me on? Is there anything, like, maybe you have a different perspective or take or opinion on this? Please put all of that down into the comments alongside any other thoughts you might have. Above that, in the description box, you'll find a link to Linktree. Takes you here. You can find links to my music, ways to support the channel, a link to the Discord server, and so much more. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all three of those. That wraps it up for today. I'll be back tomorrow, though, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC. As usual, we have a full album ahead of us. I think it's going to be a lengthy one. We're probably looking at 4+ hours for that video. It's prog rock, and that it always takes me time to get through that. So that's what we have ahead of us. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.